Hello, brothers and sisters. I don't really have much to say, just kind of keeping you in the loop. But I think the final rebellion that Paul's told us about coming into play here, as I've warned you for about a year. A lot of internal senses within me tell me we're closer to the end, really close to the end. But getting into that message, I was reading a lot of articles on Iran and some of the countries around the world, and unfortunately, the warning by Christ in Matthew 24 and various other places is that he came not to bring peace, but to deliver a sword. And we're starting to see some of those throes of rebellion. And Paul warned us of a final rebellion. And time of Jacob's trouble obviously points to such a time frame. In Jeremiah and Ezekiel, we know that all Gentiles will be destroyed. So where does that put us now? The two-headed beast of the UN is starting to dismantle England, the US, the rest of the world. We're all disconnected, right? And I was reading how Rodrigo Duterte in the Philippines had basically condemned the UN and everybody else and said that all the Americans and the Western people do is take advantage of the Middle Eastern countries for their oil and the Chinese and Asian countries for their goods, and that they won't take it anymore. And I think that's a pretty strong sentiment in Asia, probably in Russia too. And the Middle East doesn't like us either. And Europe doesn't like us either. And Europe is not getting along with their Arab counterparts. And they're not getting along with their Soviet counterparts because Russia did the Syrian war drill. Or not the Syrian, but the Serbian war drill. And then you had the case in Syria where Assad's going to stick in. Okay. So you now have those groups together. We know that North Korea has been shipping weapons to Egypt. So basically the lawlessness is actually there. We just choose to be ignorant, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if Russia and North Korea and Iran have all been kind of figuring out the weapons games underground. And we're kind of sitting in the ground where we think we have a good understanding of everything, but we really don't. But what I do know, everything's about to pop. And when you see Iran threatening about the nuclear deal, you see Israel fearing north and south from Hezbollah. When you see that Muslim nations are playing the diplomacy game, Palestine's been mentioning that they were going to do it, and it's all an anti-Western game. The world order as we know is probably going to flip. And the whole idea that we can run the world with money and morals and values when the rest of the world doesn't share the same thing, it's not a good thing, right? So, jokes to everybody, but if you think about your high net worth or your value, right? Back in the day, we could go to gold. Nowadays, we're a number on a computer screen, right? So I always laugh about the whole concept. We've been in an inflationary environment for quite a while, and this final system's kind of been the setup process. So, U.S. kind of being the end of the anchor, so to speak. In 1914, we did the Federal Reserve Act, went to a complete float. 1970s, and then oil shocks should have woke us all up. But inevitably, technology became a big thing, travel became easier. Everything in terms of the expansion of knowledge at the end of time is always there, right? We could see cultures and enjoy everything, but the fascinating thing is everything's happened so quickly that most people don't realize what's happened. So we now have an image of an image, which is the same thing I'm talking to you on. I've got a computer screen, which can do whatever or anything you could ever imagine, right? But I don't control it, right? It's just a machine. It works off of code. Guess who's gonna finally control it? But the interesting thing is the image of the image. And it's fascinating because you can get Snapchats and everything else where think about it, if Satan never had enough power to control the world through the internet, he does. For me, I'm realizing all the stuff that I thought was cool as a kid is not really so cool. And I understand God wanted us to love one another and get along. I kind of envy generations prior to me, but life is what it is, right? Focus on, as by the time this will probably be noted by anyone, you kind of have to make a determination at one point. Do you want to live, or do you want to do what you want to do? And most people are probably going to determine that, yeah, I'm going to do what I want to do. You're not going to like the day of judgment, but it is what it is. The rebellion is spoken in the New Testament. The rebellion is spoken of the Old Testament. And all the promises that are intertwined and people confused. Though we've made known, I already disclosed all of them to you. And quite frankly, I thank Jesus for doing what he had to do. God for what he had to do. I understand a tad more. Unfortunately, it's an interesting battle in and of itself. But God bless you all. The rebellion is staging up. I would anticipate Iran's going to get shot down. North Korea is probably going to bomb us. And if there's 3 earthquakes, it wouldn't surprise me if Yellowstone blows too. But hey, I'm not rubbing a crystal ball, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. But I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. Anyhow, God bless y'all. I'm just hoping sooner rather than later I see the Father and the Son.